Hello everybody, Mobius Y here with another video for Stellaris Console Edition, and today I've got another Empire build guide. I said I was going to do a few more of those starting this year, and just kind of see how they do, and if you want to see more of them, I'll definitely make more of them. So I had this one in the pipe as well, and figured I'd release it near the start of February here. Now, quick note before we jump into this. I made this Empire build, and in fact this entire video, with all of the DLC that I have, which is everything up to and including Megacorp at the time of recording this. It was all disabled. The point of that was because I know a lot of people don't have all of the DLC, and there's quite a few people out there who don't have any of the DLC, especially newer players to Stellaris Console Edition. If you're trying out the game on, say, Xbox Game Pass, you only have the base version of the game. So you can actually copy this particular Empire build and try it out for yourself in your own separate game. So, the point behind this particular Empire build was to it's kind of a cheat because it's basically a redux of the enhanced leaders that I did a very long time ago, back in sometime in 2019, I believe summertime of 2019. But with the new mechanics and new available options, there are some additional picks that we can go through in order to further, what's the word I'm looking for? Further enhance this particular Empire build, I suppose you could say. So before we jump into this, if you would like to see more Stellaris Console Edition content, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified whenever I upload new videos. I upload pretty regularly, and the goal for 2021 is to try to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of December. It's a pretty lofty goal, but I think we can do it together. I need your help to do it. Best thing to do is hit that red subscribe button and share this content with anybody who you think might enjoy watching it or might learn something from my videos. If you have a new player that is struggling to learn the mechanics of the game, send them my way. Or if you have friends or colleagues who might be interested in playing the game, have them come watch my stuff. Maybe I can pique their interest and get them to try it out. And there are also links in the description below that I would like you to check out. We'll go over those at the end of the video. So with that out of the way, so let's just go through all the nonsensical appearance options that don't mean anything. So for this particular Empire build, I went with the 10th molluscoid portrait. The species name is Super, plural is supers, and adjective is leet. We're better because our leaders are. Went with molluscoid 4 name lists, and the ship prefix is leet. The ruler's name on the male side is Supra, and the first ruler is 2002 Toyota. I went with color variant 7, background room number 10. Clothes I just left kind of pseudo default. Homeworld, I named it Superior, and the star name is Leet Sun, and we're in a random binary. And because we're molluscoid, I went with an ocean climate homeworld and a molluscoid ship appearance, or sorry, molluscoid city appearance, as well as a molluscoid ship appearance. And then the Empire name and flag is that orange and blue icon you see in the top left. Okay. So with all that meaningless stuff out of the way, that's all the appearance options. You can make those whatever you want. The real thing that you want to copy, if you want to try this out for yourself, is the traits, the Empire ethos, and the Empire civics. So let's start off with the traits. Now, since we're trying to boost up the effectiveness of our Empire's leaders, the two top trait picks are obviously talented, to increase our leader level cap by +1. This allows them to gain an extra level before they hit that arrested development trait, which completely prevents them from gaining more experience and leveling up even more, so they can have a higher level. And of course, quick learners, which increases their experience gain by +25%, so they'll be gaining a quarter additional experience for whatever they're doing, namely your scientists running around exploring the galaxy or researching technologies at the head of your research branches, and even your governors commanding your sectors, or sorry, governing, I should say, your first couple sectors when you start up the game. And if you go to wars, get some early wars, your admirals and generals will level up a little bit faster when they're in combat. So those are two easy, no-brainer trait picks for improving leaders. Let's take a look at the government and ethics. So I had to go with an oligarchic government for good reason, so that we could pick one of the civic options. So for my ethos, I kind of mixed things up here. I went with partial militarist so that we can use the no retreat war doctrine. which is kind of fun in and of itself. This also reduces the cost of claims on systems that other empires have controlled if we're interested in stealing them from them through wartime. And it also increases the fire rate of our ships by an additional plus 20%. The second ethos I took was partial xenophile. This was to increase opinions from other species and make it more likely that we'll be able to form positive relations with them, such as commercial pacts or non-aggression pacts, those kind of things. And the diplomatic influence cost is reduced. The cost of maintaining those diplomatic relations, such as non-aggression pacts and the like, is reduced, as it says. We cannot enslave or displace species, and we cannot use the no refugees policy. Those are pretty much the only downsides. And for the final ethos, partial materialism, which allows us to activate the academic privilege living standard, which is really quite good if you are partial materialist. But we also cannot outlaw AI or robotic workers. And the main thing that I wanted this for is to reduce the upkeep of robots by 10%, because robots are super awesome, and frankly, we should be using them in pretty much every playthrough if you're trying to min-max, and or if you're just trying to play well. And of course, increasing research speed by plus 5% is always quite nice. So that's the ethos. They were kind of just of a whim picks, but the big thing to look for were the two civics. So the first one obviously is meritocracy, which increases our leader level cap by an additional +1. But this also has the added benefit of increasing the resource output of our specialists by plus 10%. Which is really quite nice. In order to take meritocracy, you have to have a democratic or oligarchic authority. So those were the requirements. So we could have gone with a democratic government. However, if we went with a democratic government, we would not be able to take aristocratic elite. This requires you to have an oligarchic or imperial authority. You also cannot be egalitarian. What this does is it increases the level cap of your governors by +1. So kind of further enhancing that leader level cap, except this one is just for your governors. This also has your capital buildings replace some administrator jobs with nobles. Noble jobs are pretty dang good because they create amenities, but they also improve stability on your worlds, and this allows you to construct a single planet-unique noble estates building on any of your colonies. Which adds another noble job to further increase the stability on that colony. That's actually pretty good. There kind of are some other options, I do believe, if we go down. What was the other option? Oh, yes, of course, Distinguished Admiralty. The reason I went with partial militarism is so we could also take Distinguished Admiralty if we so wanted. If you want to take this one instead of, say, Aristocratic Elite, this increases your ship fire rate by another plus 10% and gives you plus 10 fleet command limit, so at the very start of the game, you can have a fleet of 30 corvettes as opposed to just 20, but it also increases the level cap of your admirals by an additional +1. So that was kind of the reason for the partial militarism, just to add a little bit more options for customization when creating this empire, if you want to go that route. Obviously, it's not mandatory. You can kind of just wing it and do as you please. And I think that was it for other options, was Distinguished Admiralty, if I do remember correctly. As I said, pretty much everything else in the options, the appearance options, I should be more specific, pretty much all those other things are 100% up to you. You could also take an imperial authority and swap out, say, meritocracy, or even sorry, not meritocracy. You would have to swap out meritocracy for philosopher king. This increases your ruler's level cap by +2, but because you have an imperial authority, you can keep the aristocratic elite empire civic. So you can combine those as well. If you felt so inclined. As I said, to do that, you would have to switch to an imperial authority instead of an oligarchic authority. So that's a summary of the actual empire setup itself. Feel free to copy the traits, the ethics, the civics, and the government as you see fit. And as I've said about twice already, the appearance options are 100% up to you. Let's go ahead and jump in game as is normal for Empire Build Guides. We're going to take a look at the very start of the game, and we're going to jump 20 years ahead to take a look at the year 2220 and see how I'm doing, and then we're going to jump to the 50-year mark and see how I'm doing there. The main thing is that we are trying to get a specific ascension perk. You still have to take into consideration ascension perks, your first couple ascension perks when doing an Empire build, or especially if you're trying to role play, and there is a specific one that we're going for with this Empire build. Let's go ahead and jump in the game and see how things start off. Okay, so here we are in our home system. Looks like we spawned in the kind of southeast portion. I've got a good feeling that we're going to run into the First League event chain as our precursor event. So with my construction ship, I want to bring in a couple extra minerals per month, so I'm going to have it create a mining station around this mining deposit for another +3 minerals, which will be kind of nice. Our Empire capital, is there another building I want to construct on the world? I can't, obviously, because I don't have minerals, but kind of leaning towards maybe doing a research lab to increase the production of research points, or an Autochthon monument to get some culture workers, which will produce a decent amount of unity, excuse me. Talking is hard today, apparently. So I kind of want to go that route on the planet itself, but I mean, it depends on how things go with the exploration of the galaxy. We'll take a look at our first sets of technologies. Some pretty poor options to start with here. Why don't we go ahead with fusion power? No real reason to take global energy management. The energy grid would be quite nice, but we're not specializing worlds just yet, and we definitely don't need improved deflectors, as that will just increase the cost of our ships to either upgrade or construct or even maintain them. Ooh, we got some good options here in society, biodiversity studies, and planetary unification. I think planetary unification will be the better first pick, because we do want to get that first ascension perk and that first tradition tree done as quickly as possible. And for engineering, we'll just go with the nanomechanics to increase our engineering research from our researchers. Now, obviously, take a science ship, have it start exploring, probably get this guy to start exploring over here in the northern direction. We'll go to the shipyard, queue up another science ship, there we go, and then we can go to the galactic market, sell off our excess consumer goods. We kind of want to keep the food a little bit for now, and we probably could have done without selling all those consumer goods. That's okay. Anyways, now we have the energy to recruit a new leader. Let's get the guy with the resilient and the youngest one of the bunch. So now we have a scientist for our second science ship. Things are looking pretty good. Okay, so to start things off, when going down the tradition tree, I'm going to start with discovery, and I recommend doing that for this particular build because of this little guy right here. Polytechnic education. It can be your second tradition that you pick. This increases leader experience gain by another 25%. So you're getting 50% with this tradition and with the trait talented. I do believe it is. Or sorry, quick learners, excuse me. And it increases your leader level cap by an additional 1. So with meritocracy, the talented species trait, and this tradition, your leader level cap for all your leaders is increased by 3. And depending on which civics you took, it can be increased by another 1 level. If you went with, say, Distinguished Admiralty, your admirals can have a higher level cap of 4. And if you went with Philosopher King, then your ruler can have a leader level cap increased by 5. So yeah, getting big bonuses there, and the additional plus 50% to leader experience gain is pretty good, but we're not going to stop there, because once you start with the discovery tree, you grab science division, grab polytechnic education, and then and then finish off the tree, you get your first ascension perk. And the first ascension perk to go for, where the heck did it go? Right here, this one, Transcendent Learning, one that I never really bother with normally. But in this particular Empire build, it's going to pay off quite nicely. Why? Because it gives you another +2 leader level cap, so all your leaders have a +5 leader level cap from your traits, your civics, your traditions, and now from your first ascension perk. And they're also getting another plus 50% leader experience gain, so they're gaining twice as much experience for the stuff they're doing than any other empire, so they can level up pretty quickly. This will really help with your scientists exploring the galaxy and doing those high-level anomalies, getting them done sooner, getting those special projects done, giving you better odds of finding that precursor homeworld even faster. So you can get a big boatload of Unity and even access to a really, really valuable system, depending on what it is. Say it's the Erasians or the Utan homeworld, you get lots of strategic resources from that system. Or if it's the First League or the Cybrex homeworld, you get an Ecumenopolis from the former and a busted ring world from the latter. So really, really good things all around there. So not much to say at the start of the game. Let's go ahead and jump ahead 20 years to see how things have progressed by that portion of the game. Okay, here we are, 20 years into the game. We have our first election underway, but because we are using our influence to do things like expand and whatnot, we will not be able to vote in it, so we're going to have to abstain. And we magically re-elected our current ruler, 2002 Toyota. Interesting. So we're going to take a look. We're going to zoom out here. As you can see, most of the resources in our home system I was able to grab, and I'm also grabbing territory. We bumped into our neighbor here, the Republic Kemplar regions, right next to us, and we've also got the Haran Star administration to the north of us. So we are kind of hemmed in both directions, but thankfully I was able to rush out and grab this system of Tiaka, which if we did not secure this, we would not be able to continue expanding to the west of us, and it doesn't necessarily block off our neighbors, so they would still be able to continue expanding to the eastern portions of the galaxy and down here in these regions that we no longer have access to. So we might get some border gore with them, which would decrease their opinion, but for the most part, I think we're okay. Trying to secure some key locations here. Demon's Maw, nice little black hole. Always nice to have at least one black hole in your territory, and of course we have a source of volatile motes here as well. So kind of just running around, building up some space stations to get some additional resources. Let's take a look at how we're doing in technologies. Right now we're getting administrative AI done in the next month to increase our research speed. We're getting eco-simulation to boost our food output from our farmers, and we're also getting standardized Corvette patterns. Not too bad. What did we get for our technologies here? So we did get planetary unification, when we were lucky enough to have genome mapping right after that for that plus 10% boost to what's called pop growth speed. Now, I would like to point out here that I also grabbed adaptive bureaucracy as soon as I saw it pop up. The reason for this is it increases the pool size of our leaders when recruiting new leaders by +1. And it reduces their cost of recruitment by 20% as well. So this will be handy. Not only do you have leaders that can reach higher levels and gain experience more quickly just by default, but you will also have a bigger pool to select leaders from and a lowered cost. Normally, I don't really prioritize grabbing adaptive bureaucracy, but seeing as how this whole Empire build, this particular playthrough, is about enhanced leaders, I went for this one right away as soon as it popped up. And of course we do have robotic workers, and we've already got our first colony, only just finished developing not too long ago. So as soon as that first building slot opens up, we have access to robotics and we can construct that robot assembly plant. Unfortunately, we were not able to construct it here on the homeworld, as I do believe we were running into an amenities problem, so I had to slap down a holo theaters, sadly, to fix the amenities problems, as I didn't want to construct more research districts in order to offset that. And it looks like we're running into a little bit of a consumer goods issue because we have a second research lab. So we have researchers using up consumer goods. So we got a lot of science ships running around the galaxy. Some of them are older, but as you can see, some of them are already levels 4 and level 5. So I have some of them running around and picking up the old... Oh, excuse me, I went to the wrong area. I have some of them running around and picking up the old anomalies and some special projects that we kind of ignored when we were first surveying the galaxy because they would have taken too long because our scientists were too low level. But only 20 years in, and I've already got at least one level 5 scientist, so I have him running around, him or her, I guess I should say, running around and doing those. Because I want to get those done. Some of them are precursor anomalies, so they will take a while, but it's well worth it, and they could gain enough XP to level up even further beyond that. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our traditions. As you can see, I did finish Discovery. What you can't tell is, as I mentioned previously, I rushed Polytechnic Education to get this increased leader experience gain and leader level cap, and when we finished Discovery, I, of course, took the Transcendent Learning Ascension perk. As I said, not really one that I would prioritize under normal circumstances, but for this particular Empire build, that's what I went for. Obviously, starting up with expansion next, I definitely want to grab a new life to increase the pop growth speed by another 10% to start developing that first colony of ours ASAP. And looking around, it doesn't look like we have very many options for additional colonies. We have a size 14 ocean world over here, not too great. And then over here we have 2 worlds that are only a size 12 and a size 11, not to mention they're not of appropriate climates, at least not yet. We would have to terraform them. We got a world way over here, which is a size 23, but again, we would have to terraform that, so the options for viable colonies is quite limited. Let's go ahead and jump ahead another 30 years to the 50-year mark and see how things have progressed from there. We'll be right back. And we're back a whopping 2 seconds later. Okay, we're at the year 2250, just a couple days after the new year. So let's take a look and zoom out some. As you can see, I've branched out quite a lot, and I in fact took a lot of space along here. So we are we are bordering our neighbor quite severely. Normally, I'm not one for that, but thankfully, we're on pretty good terms with most everybody in the galaxy. It's a very small galaxy. I'm pretty sure I took a 200-star galaxy and just went with a lot of default settings. So with just 3 other AI empires, things got pretty crowded, and I wanted to get on good terms with everybody. I already have a commercial pact and a non-aggression pact with our immediate neighbors. As you can see, research agreement with us, non-aggression pact with us, and there should be things saying we have a commercial pact too. Apparently it doesn't. Oh, that's too bad. But I know that I have one. And then up here you can see with the hierarchy of Wagola Upta, the same thing. We have a research agreement with them, we have a non-aggression pact with them, and they have opened their borders to me because I have opened my borders to them, which is great. Unfortunately, they're rivaling our neighbor, but that's all right because both of these people that we are on good terms with, they're rivaling each other, but they are both on good terms with me and guaranteeing my independence, so I think we'll be all right. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to grab some key choke points that I really wanted, namely this one here. If I grabbed that, we would have free reign, over this entire chunk of the galaxy. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to settle for maybe just grabbing this little choke point here, and then we'll just have this little portion to the west, of our capital world. And then I expanded a little bit further up this way, where I'm going to have 2 choke points, because here in the Faginijad system, I decided, screw it, I'm going to want those planets available in my territory. And up here in Stellaris, we had a source of dark matter, a really good source of dark matter, I might add. 3 dark matter per month just by default. So with technologies, that will actually increase to be even more. And these guys up here, we don't really care about them. We're going to have to build defenses because they are xenophobic, very xenophobic, I might add. So they kind of dislike us right off the hop. So as you can see, looking around, I did not grab very many additional colonies. I finally caved and said, screw it, we're going to grab that size 14 ocean world that I looked at initially and said, pah, that colony is beneath my notice. And eventually I said, you know what, I've gone this far, I've only had the homeworld and 1 colony from the beginning of the game. I need to fix that. So I started branching out, grabbing some key territory. We've got a world here, a size 24 Alpine world. That's a nice candidate for terraforming to make it better. We've got a size 19 desert world over here that we can terraform. We have over here, this is a size 16 Alpine world, and over here there's a size 23 Alpine world. So those are all viable candidates for terraforming and future colonization. I decided it was important, very important as a matter of fact, to branch out and grab those ASAP. Looking at our technologies, we're working on droids, we're working on advanced food processing, and most importantly FTL inhibition, since I'm starting to build up some star bases to defend some certain choke points, especially from our neighbors to the northeast of us. I figure it's going to be important to have those FTL inhibitors so that they can't go deep into our territory. I was able to get cloning as well to further increase pop growth speed by another 10%, so that's always really nice. And we just recently got terrestrial sculpting, so once we are able to build up enough energy credits, we can start terraforming our first potential colony. Our 4th potential colony, I suppose you could say, but we can terraform our first planet. So again, lots of science ships available, but they have nowhere to go because we have already surveyed pretty much everywhere that we can go. As I said, very small galaxy. We could go to the east of us here, but it is blocked off by lots of I believe they were crystalline entities, and in fact the crystal nidus is right here in this pulsar system. So all these systems have pretty strong presences of crystalline entities. So this whole region of the galaxy is blocked off from us. Now this guy might have access to it. Doesn't really matter. Nothing we can do about that. Just trying to make do with the situation at hand. Definitely not an ideal start, but hey, you make do with what you can. Traditions, as you can see, I finished with expansion. I quickly rushed a new life to get that pop growth speed. Grabbed Reach for the Stars and Galactic Ambition next, so that we decreased the influence cost of new star bases and reduced their upkeep by 20%. That actually helped out with my energy credits a little bit, and then finished it off with Courier Network. For the second Ascension perk, I went with Technological Ascendancy. This is pretty much your go-to pick in every playthrough of the game, unless you are strongly role-playing and have other Ascension perks you are prioritizing in that particular roleplay kind of playthrough. But yeah, that should largely sum it up. As you can see, this scientist way up here, level 6. We got another level 6 scientist over here. I had them running around doing anomalies that I left behind. Unfortunately, we can't get them all done because we have some territory blocked off from us thanks to this xenophobic empire who has their borders still closed. And of course, we have this area over here blocked off to us because of all the crystalline entities that are making that system inaccessible. So gonna have to build up military fleets, take out those crystalline entities, and begin surveying this region of space. Who knows, maybe we'll be able to expand over there if I stockpile enough influence. But for now, it's just building up territory in this little region of space. Got these 4 more systems to grab, and then we can turn this area into a defensible choke point, and Sinistra is already being turned into a defensible choke point. So we're okay from the west to the south. We've got these 2 systems that could be made into choke points, but I'm not as worried about them because we're on really good terms with this empire to the south. And then over here we got these 2 systems to the northeast, which will both have to be choke points in order to defend that region. We can also turn Demon's Maw into a choke point so that no matter what route that this guy goes to war, if this person goes to war with us, whatever route they take, if they come into Stellaris, they can skip over here and then go to the Demon's Maw. They still have to go through 2 choke point star bases, and then if they come into Fahaginijad, they still have to go to Demon's Maw and go through 2 choke point star bases. But that's going to sum up how things were going for me so far. Nothing too spectacular. As I said, only the 3 colonies, slowly building them up. I unfortunately have not been able to utilize the noble estates just yet. I wanted to get the economy more under control, as I'm not really producing a heck of a lot in any department. Figured I should be at least a couple hundred in energy credits, minerals, and food by this point, and maybe almost 100 in consumer goods, and definitely more science. But partially due to having limited colonization options, that's not happening right now. So things are going at a bit of a slower pace. But that's going to sum it up for how I was doing in this particular game. What happens next is entirely up to you. So that's going to sum it up for this Empire build guide. As I said, it's kind of a cheat because it's a redux of a very old Empire build guide that I did. But I'm going to go back and look at those and see if I can redo those and bring them more up to date with the current version of Stellaris Console Edition, because there's definitely some changes. Available in the game. You can play with it a little bit more. As I said, if you want to copy this particular Empire build exactly, feel free to do so. But there are some additional options available to you. Like I said, you can swap out one of the civics for, say, Distinguished Admiralty, hence the partial militarism, but you can also change the government to an imperial authority and then throw in the Philosopher King civic. You'll have to take a meritocracy for that one. But yeah, that'll sum it up for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and that you get to utilize this particular Empire build guide. As I said, I used none of the DLC for this one, as I wanted newer players to Stellaris Console Edition, and players who are not purchasing all or any of the DLC right now to be able to try one of these particular Empire build guides out for themselves. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more Stellaris Console Edition content, please subscribe to the channel. The goal for 2021 is to try to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of December, but I can't do it alone. I need your help to do so, so hit that red subscribe button, click the bell icon so you're notified when I upload more videos. There will be more on the way, and of course share this video with anybody you think might be interested in watching my content. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below. You'll find one for the official Stellaris Discord channel if you want to become part of the greater Stellaris community. There is a big section for us console edition players. Lots of people there to ask questions, strategize with, even set up multiplayer games if you so choose. There's people from both platforms in that big section. You'll also find more personable links for myself. The first one is to my Twitch channel, excuse me. If you want to watch me live streaming Stellaris Console Edition, I'm streaming 4 days a week, and Tuesdays and Fridays are Stellaris Console Edition nights. So come on by 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on any of those days, see what I've got cooking. And as I said, Tuesdays and Fridays are Stellaris Console Edition nights. If you miss the stream, I upload them all to YouTube completely unedited, so that you get to experience everything that happened. You'll also find a link to my Twitter feed. Give me a follow there. It's a great way to keep in touch with me, and I post important announcements there all the time. Last but not least, there is a link to my own personal Discord channel for fans of my content to freely join. It's not mandatory, but I highly recommend it. There you can take part in the little community events we have, such as voting on which other games I play on stream. There will be another one in probably just a few months here, or even in a few weeks once I finish playing The Last of Us. So if you want to take part in that and vote on or have a say on what games I play on stream throughout 2021, that's the place to be. So gonna cap off this video there. This is Mobius while playing Stellaris Console Edition. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon with another video. Take care, everybody.